My skin is black.
What you looking
My
at?
skin
Yeah,
is black.
I feel so good to be black right now.
Welcome to episode 89 of the Black in Fashion podcast. I love 89 because that's the year that I was born. I just hit the bottom of the 80s babies, but I made the cut. I feel like, and I've noticed that I don't actually introduce myself on the podcast. So yeah, you're here with Lenise Collier, and I'm going to make sure I say my name every time. But the best part is that I am here with Brittany Diego. She is a fashion mentor. She has an amazing business, and we're going to dive into her background, her experiences, learn a little bit about her and her business. Brittany, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Lenise. I'm excited for today.
Yeah, I feel like we have a lot in common.
Yes,
Yeah, we have
I
a lot in
agree.
common. We have a lot to talk about. We have very similar experiences in certain things. Hold on one second. What?
Mm-hmm.
What? Yeah, no. I can hear her. Yeah, we're fine. Yeah, we're good on the sound check. You're funny. Yeah, we're good.
So good.
Yeah. So, I like to start with a little icebreaker. It's called
Okay.
This or That. So let's start with, okay, are you a bucket hat girl or are you a beret girl?
Ooh, I'd definitely say beret. I want to get into bucket hats, but I don't know if I could rock them just yet. So
There might
yeah,
be a
beret
beach
for
thing.
now.
There might be a beach thing.
Yeah, I mean summer's coming, so
Yeah. Are you
we gonna see.
a scoop neck girl or a V-neck girl?
V, definitely a V.
Definitely a V-neck girl. Are you a wide leg girl or a skinny leg girl?
Definitely skinny leg.
Okay.
No questions.
Hoops or studs?
Hoops all day,
Is
every
it
day.
side boob or under boob? That's the one.
You know what? I appreciate an underboob.
Me too, right? I feel like people always say side boob. I'm like, sometimes you just gotta go with the under boob, we gotta be daring in fashion sometimes.
Yeah, it's more unexpected, I feel.
Yes. So, how did you get your start in fashion, and what is your background in fashion? I know that it's super duper cliche, Brittany, and you probably get that all the time in interviews, but we gotta dab in there just a tad bit.
Get into the basics. No,
Yeah,
it's all
get into the
good.
basics.
So I've pretty much known that I wanted to be in fashion my entire life. You know, that typical story of playing with dolls and everything. So that was me. And when I was 10 years old, I was a Girl Scout and I had this project to get my badge to sew. It was like a sewing project. And that was my first introduction into fashion. And I was just so fascinated by being able to make my own clothes, and that just opened up a whole world of possibilities for me. So I became obsessed with fashion, and looking back it's kind of weird, but I reverse engineered my future. So I said, okay, in order for me to be a fashion designer, which was my goal at the time, I need to take this step and this step and this step. So here I am, 10 years old, taking the initiative to find out that there are actually fashion programs at high schools here in LA, which I'm very fortunate, that we had those types of resources here. And I just went all in. So I went to the fashion high school. I majored in fashion design in college, and I did a bunch of internships and work experience. And that's pretty much how I got my start, is by jumping all in to the industry.
So, question, just to back it up a tad bit, were you a Girl
Yeah.
Scout? Because you said something about earning badges.
Yes,
You were
I
a
was a
Girl
Girl Scout.
Okay, I know that was like a girl. I'm like, earning badges for sewing. Where does that happen at?
Where they do that at?
Yeah, but that makes sense because it's Girl Scouts. Now, that is funny. I've always wanted to do that. I never tapped into that. So, Brittany, where are you from?
So originally, I'm from this very, very tiny country called Belize in Central America. Shout out to my fellow Central Americans and Caribbeans. But I live in LA.
Oh,
I grew up in LA.
nice. Compton?
Mm.
I'm playing.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said Compton, but I said I'm playing.
Close, South Central.
South Central LA. As a kid, that's where I always wanted to live. I'm like, I'm going to move. I'm going to live in Long Beach and Baldwin Hills. And I ended up in New York. So, what is your...
That's not bad.
You said what?
I said New York is not a bad place to end up
It's
at
not.
all.
It's not at all. So, I know you just talked about how you got your start in fashion and what your background was in fashion. But where did you get, I guess, like your inspiration, like your support system from? Like, was like your mother or like your father, your grandparents? I hear a lot that often grandparents have a lot to do with why certain people are in fashion.
Oh,
Who's your
yes,
support
bless
system?
my grandparents. So yeah, my family has always been so supportive, which I'm extremely grateful for because I know a lot of people, well, not a lot, but some people they say they want to work in fashion and their families like, you need to get a real job or be more realistic. And my family has never ever said that to me. Like they knew that I wanted to do this because I was playing with the dolls and doing the dress up things from a young age. So speaking of grandparents, what they used to do when newspapers were a thing after the Oscars, they would take the page from the red carpet section and save it for me. And I just thought that was so cute
Oh,
that
I love
they would
that.
actually do that. But yeah, my family has always been supportive, and especially being immigrants, we came to this country and they never said you need to be a doctor or a lawyer. They always just pushed me to do something that fulfilled me and made me happy. So they're definitely my support system, even to this day.
Love that. How did you grow your social media following? I feel like you have such a huge following. Did you have any certain tactics that you did when you started out, or was there like a certain post that just like went super duper viral?
Yeah, so I didn't have like any strategy or anything. I just started posting the stuff that I wish I could see from stylists. So as an aspiring stylist, I would follow these established stylists just to get a taste of that behind the scenes set life and all of that, just so I could visualize myself in their shoes. So now that I was in the position of being on set, doing photo shoots, working with celebrities, I wanted to basically, I guess, pay it forward and show that side of the industry because it's still a very secretive industry. But I wanted to just be transparent and authentic with my journey and show that it's not all glamour, like sometimes I go through situations with showrooms and and I'm honest about all of that stuff. So I just wanted to always be that person to keep it real in the industry where so many people have this persona to keep up. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, did you go to fashion school? If so, like, did you feel like you learned anything? Like, did they teach you, or was it more so just like industry experience?
Yeah, so I did go to fashion school. I majored in fashion design, but between my sophomore and junior year, I did an internship at this huge fashion company, and I was like, "This is what designers do. Like this is not what I signed up for." So,
Yeah.
like this ain't
I
it.
think the industry
So,
can definitely make I guess the industry would be the deciding point for your career. I feel like that a lot of people like they
absolutely.
go to fashion design school, but then they end up adventuring in other areas of fashion because they don't even get into the nitty gritty in school because school doesn't really show you the real life experiences of what you're gonna have. So when you go to fashion school, I feel like people are being very very optimistic, but then unless they are doing their own thing, like the whole entrepreneur wave and really creating clothing and designing for themselves, it is completely different when you go work for a company and you're just like, oh, hell no, this is not it. I don't like
you
this.
you hit it spot on. That was exactly my experience, but I'm grateful for that experience because the company was so huge. They did everything in-house. So I got to see everything from the sample making to the design to styling to merchandising to all of that. So that was my first exposure to seeing a stylist and I was like, I didn't know that it was a job to dress models and like be on photo shoots all day. Like, what? So that was my first exposure. And now I'm going into my junior year. I'm supposed to make this collection for the school fashion show, and I'm just not feeling design anymore. My whole focus was, how can I become a stylist? And so I started doing even more internships and like reaching out to freelance stylists around LA, like cold emailing them. And yeah, so that was my like first experience, like dipping my foot into that side of the industry. But to go back to your question, like, you pretty much hit it on the nose. Fashion school didn't teach me that there was other jobs you can do in the industry. It was just design or merchandising, and
That's
those are your
it.
only choices.
So annoying.
Right. But there's so many other things. Like, you can work in wholesale, retail, like luxury retail. Like, now there's like a whole, thing about luxury reselling and styling. Like, there's so many
Yeah,
jobs
there's
in the
product development, there's
industry.
production, there's illustration. Like,
Exactly,
there's so many
exactly.
different avenues that you can be in that I feel like there's not open. But
Hmm.
you've created a platform where you do show those things, where you are
Yes, I
able to say like,
do.
hey, this is, you can take your career anywhere you want to go
Yes.
if you just have the mindset to say, I can do whatever I want to do, and you take that foundation from what you learned in those fashion schools and you create your own lane, which is what you did. So how did you even get coined the name like the fashion mentor?
You know what? That is a great question. I've thought about it now that, the company has got into a great space, and I cannot remember for the life of me, if I'm being honest, where I came up with that name.
Girl,
It just
I've been
sounded
holding on to
catchy.
mine. Mine is the fashion fairy godmother. So, but I got that from a
Hey.
client, and every time someone asks me, a client gave it to me. She wrote me a text message. She's like, "You're just like my little godmother." And I know that I'm younger than her, but I know I was able to make her. She's like, "You brought all the pieces together, like the fairy
Oh,
godmother and Cinderella," and I hadn't even thought about it like that. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna keep that. I didn't put it on my
yes.
website, girl. It's in my bio now. When people write to me, I didn't put it on my one sheet. I'm just like, you know what? We just gonna
Hello.
stick with it. That is what's up. So,
See,
so
I love that you have a story. Like,
mhm.
I cannot recall, but yeah, Fashion Mentor is my business, my baby, my brainchild. And I love being able to teach all the things that I wish I had learned in
In
school.
school.
But,
Yeah.
we here now.
Yep,
So,
yep. You're right about that. So tell me, what are some of the skills that you feel like a stylist needs in order to like attract like their dream client and to maintain that clientele? So that's what we want. We want
mhm.
repeat customers.
Absolutely. So I think the number one thing is, I feel like stylists are focused on getting that next client, but there's so much power in nurturing relationships, right? So we don't talk about that as much. We talk about getting out there and like pounding the pavement and hustling, but you have to be there for your client and really build a relationship beyond just, okay, we're this. Like, as a stylist, it's such an intimate process. Like, you're getting to learn this person's insecurities and how they feel about their body, if they want to hide certain things. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely having the ability to nurture those relationships, as well as knowing who you want to serve. So the thing about being a stylist, there's so many options. Like, you can have a niche in athletes, or maybe you just want to style busy moms who don't have time to go shopping. Maybe you want to style powerful CEOs and show them how to transform their wardrobe so they don't get mistaken for the intern or the assistant. So knowing who it is that you want to serve, and once you're clear on that, then all of your marketing is going to go towards that. And it just makes it that much easier. So there won't be that overwhelm of, how am I supposed to show up on Instagram, and how am I supposed to like do my website? Like, it all leads back to who your ideal client is. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind
Is
as a
who the
stylist,
ideal.
to start attracting. Yes, exactly. Because if I go to a stylist or any like service professional's profile, and it doesn't look like something that speaks to me, or like they don't speak my language, then I'm going to the next one. So don't be afraid of, quote unquote, like leaving people out, or, like any of that, but you want to make sure that you're speaking to your ideal group. So,
Gotcha. That makes sense. So, sorry. So when it comes to creating like that target consumer like profile, is it imperative that you actually stick to it when it comes to client intake? So when you do get clients that are maybe outside of like what your niche is for styling, do you take those clients on anyway as a challenge, or do you refer them to someone that is more suited for what their needs are?
That's a great question. So oftentimes, like, I like to push myself as a stylist and try new things because I've found that people like to put you in a box. And there's two sides to that. So there's one, being known for being the go-to stylist for curvy women or the go-to stylist for executives. But on the other hand, something that I've experienced as a Black stylist is, because I do celebrity styling primarily, people think for some reason that I could only style Black people. And so, like, it is so weird and it makes no sense whatsoever. So I made it an intention to show my diversity, not just in, the races of people that I style, but like showing that I can do streetwear, I can do glam, I can do everything else in between. So that's also important too, that you get depending on what type of styling too,
But
like,
aren't that the
just
way
to get
that these cultures, other cultures dress anyway? Because they are always jacking our style anyway. So what's the difference?
Hello.
Like, I'm like,
Hello.
what's the difference? Like, what's the difference between me styling someone that's Black or someone that's of another ethnic background or ethnicity or whatever, if they're dressing like the Black people anyway?
Hello. That's the one.
That's
Yeah, that's the
funny.
one. Yeah. And it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like, once you think about it, like, do you hear yourself? Like, because one of my girls, she's like a PR person, and she was hooking me up with this opportunity. And apparently the client was like, "Oh, I don't know. Like, she doesn't have any like dresses on her profile." But it's like, girl, I could pull you dresses. Like, that's nothing.
Nothing at
Like,
all. That's hilarious.
you know?
I can't take it. It's just because of, people are attracted to what they see by the eye, opposed to thinking
Exactly.
about, above and beyond that picture. So if she's looking through your social media and she's noticing that most of the people on your social media are Black, she's instantly turned off a post and thinking about it as if, these women, whether they're Black or not, have the same style sense that I want, or they have the same body types that I have, and especially in the world of like the changing your body to be a black girl's body anyway. Like, what is the
Woo!
difference?
No, that's the real tea. That's the real
That's
skill
the
right
real
there.
tea. I'm uncut on
But
my
they ain't ready for
podcast.
that combo.
Right, like it's the same
They ain't
thing.
ready for that combo.
Yeah, I'm like, that's why I'm like, you know what? We're going to have another one, Brittany, because I'm just like, you know what? Because I can tap into that really quick. I'm uncut on the Black and Fashion podcast.
I'm here for
Very
it.
uncut. So tell me, what are some of the obstacles you feel like you face, like when you tried to branch out into other areas? Like, have you tried to branch into other areas, and do you feel like you weren't like accepted in other areas of fashion outside of like the styling? Like, have you tried merchandising or buying or design, and how has that worked out for you?
Yeah, so I haven't, once I found styling, like, I was like, this is it. I just didn't know it had a name. I didn't know it was a whole career in itself. So I never really looked back into designing or merchandising or anything. But I would say I did face obstacles when I started my company, Fashion Mentor, from other stylists, actually. So, yeah. So
Ain't that
let me sip my
something?
tea real quick. Yeah. So, like, the industry, it tends to be pretty closed off to outsiders. And I remember specifically one stylist, he was like, "Oh, you like, you're giving them the keys." But I don't know, like, let me know what you feel about this, Lenice. Like, we had it was difficult. Like, we had it harder when we were starting out because people are so secretive. And with Fashion Mentor being a more transparent resource and telling stylists, "Hey, this is where you get clothes. This is what studio services is. Like, this is, like, da da da." Do we really need to make it difficult for the next group of people, like, just so they can say they paid their dues? Like,
Yeah, no, see,
that was,
no.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said no, and that grinds my gears.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like there is so many people in this world Like so many people, there's so many consumers. Why hide the information? Because you think they're going to be taking business away from you? There's nothing wrong with mentoring and helping and giving out information because it's not going to stop the flow of what you're doing. You have your clientele, you're working with your clientele, you're going to continue to attract new customers. And just by providing the information or giving the information to somebody else does not make anything change. So I don't agree with
Exactly.
stylists that feel like they have to withhold, or not even just stylists, in any industry across the board. If you feel like you have to withhold information to protect opposed to wanting to spread, that's to me is a real boss. A real boss is the boss that's able to make little millionaires and to help inspire someone else and or help someone else get to their next level and or help someone make their dreams come true. So by holding down the information, how are you helping the next person? We were put on this earth to serve, to help one another. And especially in our community, in the Black community, we should be even more willing to share information and to share resources and then put it out there so that we all can thrive as a community. So to withhold information is just like, so unauthentic. That's the only word I can
Exactly.
think of it is unauthentic.
Yeah, it's crabs in a barrel. Yeah, and I just feel like, we should be making it a little bit easier. And there's this old saying that goes, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. So I could
Exactly.
put every single thing that I know out there, which I think I have at this point, because Fashion Mentor, we have not only a blog, we have a whole YouTube podcast, like all of this stuff. So everything that you could possibly have a question about as an aspiring stylist, it's out there on Fashion Mentor, but it's only the ones who are willing to put in the work. And it's like, I sound like a broken record saying it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to actually put in work. Like, this is not for the weak, but they don't believe me until they're actually in it. So you have to be willing to have that drive and then not give up at the first sign of a challenge or of defeat. Like we all have those moments where we're like, oh my God, what am I signed up for? Like, what am I putting myself through? But you have to really have a passion that goes beyond just liking clothes or liking fashion. Like you have to have a why that's much stronger than that. So
Yeah.
personally, my why as to why I became a stylist is because I love helping make people feel confident about themselves. Like, just like you see those makeover shows where they put on a beautiful red dress and they've never felt so beautiful, and like they start bawling their eyes out because it's an instant self-esteem
It's the
booster.
tears for
So that's
me.
why it's the tears
It's
for
for
me,
me.
like right, like, it's the confidence boost. It's the just like feeling better about themselves instantly. Like, what other industry can you do that for a person where you snap your fingers, you put something on real quick, and then you feel like a whole new person? So that's why I love ooh, sorry, that's why I love being a
Yeah.
stylist
Yeah,
myself.
that's honestly that's why I love the business that I am as far as like helping designers create their brands because I've seen the tears too. Like, for all these ideas that are in their head and then like these sketches that they didn't actually know how to sketch and then we re-sketch them and we go through the process and then they come in and they ball. When I tell you they ball, like, oh my God. And I, even to this day, and I've been making clothes for a long time, when I see things that I create actually come to life, I still have like that emotional attachment, like, wow, like, it started as a sketch and now it's like a 3D thing. It was from 2D to 3D. So I understand
Yes.
that seeing like that final product and you being able to be that person where for me it's the hug. It's not even the tears. It's the thank you so much hug. This is like I didn't know how I would do this without you, or I didn't even know that I could look like this in your place,
Yes.
like, and the confidence just comes to open like an amazing boost. And I feel like with with women, just to bring this up, like with women, with the makeup and the changing of their bodies, stuff like that, like the confidence in women is it can be make or break very easy. And I feel like that is the reason, also the reason for Insecure by Issa Rae, is that like our confidence as women go up and down depending on our weight, depending on our hair, depending on our looks, and the things literally and the things that we wear too. And because it's such like a like a I almost want to call it like a roller coaster of emotions and feeling confident in some days and not feeling confident other days. That hug and that cry to bring you back down to like, you know what, I am beautiful, and now someone else can see it and they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. It's a beautiful feeling.
It is. It really is. Just being able to make an impact, like that's
Yes.
what it really comes down to, I believe.
Yeah, I love that. Have
Yeah.
you ever interned for another stylist or like a design firm? Did you ever have any of those experiences?
Yes, so I've interned for quite a few stylists, well-known ones. I can tell you some things, but that'll be in
Oof.
my book in
Oof.
in about 10 years or so.
Yeah, I have a book coming out too, and I'm telling everything, and you can like me or not like me because I'm gonna say what I want to say.
I'm naming names.
I'm naming. I might change some names, but you gonna know who you are, honey.
Okay, like
Yeah.
that's the one. Like I've had some crazy experiences with stylists that I've interned for and that are very well known, and I'm just like, "Oh my God, like
Did they make
I've
you second
almost
guess? Did they make you second guess
absolutely."
the end? Oh, and that's one thing. That's my fear of working with someone
Mhm.
and they making you second guess what it is that you do. So, how did those experiences shape you as an entrepreneur?
Whew. Let me
It's the deep breath
get
for
my fan out.
love it.
No, I just had these moments where I was like, oh my God, like, first of all, this person is having their assistants and interns do all the work for them. So I was like, if you can do that and be successful, like, I know that I actually have a work ethic and I know how to get the job done. So why am I over here, slaving and like, being your unthanked, unappreciated intern when I could be doing this myself? Like,
Right.
like,
Were they paid? I'm
it
just I'm
just,
just curious.
uh, oh no,
None of
no,
them were
no.
paid
That's another thing.
internships?
I did one paid internship, like out of
Okay.
all of them. And it was just like I was so traumatized from the previous ones that she asked me for my Venmo on like the first day. She was like, "Hey, let me send you some gas money and some lunch, like a lunch stipend." And I was like, "Oh,"
It was like,
like,
what? No one's ever asked me that before. I just don't think it's
exactly.
realistic.
But
Like, it's not realistic for somebody to work for you for free. Like, giving up their time. Like, you don't have to give them a lot. I understand they're getting the experience, and, it's almost equivalent to them, like, going to school, but it's just like, something needs to be given. Like, I would never expect for
and
someone to completely work for me for no cost, even with accredited internships. They're already paying the freaking school for the freaking credit. So it's just like, you really expect for someone to pay for free, especially in LA and New York? Are you insane? Like, the
hello,
cost
like
of living
gas.
expenses, the commute, the food, like it makes no sense to me, like at
It
all.
doesn't. And I had this I interned for another stylist where I asked her, hey, like would you be able to cover my gas or like park, because like I'm going to these buildings in Beverly Hills and it's like $15 parking, which mind you, I was like a college student at this point. So $15 to me is like $100.
Right. That's my lunch for 3 days. Shit.
Like that's
$15
three
is
little
five. That's five McDonald's number twos or number threes for like 3 days straight
right,
as a
that's three
college
little
student.
Caesar's pizzas. Like,
Exactly.
and no drink.
Right. No, Brittany, not no
But
drink.
she looked at
Give
me
me a
like
cup of
I
water
was
so I can fill
speaking.
it up with Sprite.
Right, right. But she looked at me like I was absolutely crazy and insane for having the nerve to ask to be reimbursed for my gas. So, leading back to your question, that has I remember all of those experiences, and that's led me to know how I don't want to treat my employees as an
Yes.
entrepreneur. So, I'm always the first. And even aside from being an entrepreneur, when I'm doing styling, like I'm the first to say, send me your Venmo. Like, let me send you a little something for gas. Like, even if it's a project where there's no assistant budget, like I'm always going to make sure that I give them a little something so they can walk away with value. Make sure
Right.
that they're actually learning, because I know a lot of these internships with stylists, they're so hungry for experience. But I'm like, if you're working for someone for what, 3 to 6 months, and they're still not paying you anything for gas or anything, or you're not learning
Yeah.
at the very minimum,
I feel
like
like
that's the
food and
problem.
gas is the basis, like transportation, because it's just like I have to pay to get here. Whether it's a train, whether it's
Yes.
gas in my car, whether it's anything, like I have to pay to get to you. So yeah, I absolutely appreciate the experience, but I have to come out of my pocket and I'm not getting
Mm-hmm.
paid. Like, so to me, transportation and food while I'm in, working, this shift or however long the shift is. And with styling, I don't think it's 8 hours. I think it's like whatever duty calls for. Even more the reasons
Mm-hmm.
that you should fucking feed me. Excuse my French. like, like seriously. I
That's the one.
opted out a couple internships for that reason. I was just like, yeah, no, like I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm solid. I'll figure it out another way, another shape, way, or form. But there is not happening, especially in New York, like or in LA. I
In
just feel
LA.
like it's a H no for me. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. So bottom line to any aspiring stylist, like make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you're learning and that the only thing that you're not just learning like where to pick up their coffee or where to pick up their clothes from, like you're actually learning how to do the job of a stylist. So if you got, asked to do a job by yourself, you would know, at least the basics of where to go pull or like how to handle a budget and receipts and like studio services and things like that.
You know
So
what's
make
great?
sure that you are learning.
And I ain't never asked an intern to go give me no damn coffee. I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
I get my coffee on the way to the office. Like, I'm not going to the office. I'm not going to the office and then saying, answer like, oh, okay, can you come give me a cup of coffee? Like, that's so dumb. Like, I want the coffee before I get there. So I'm going to get it myself. Like, it's just a waste of their time. Like, I'll go get my coffee.
Exactly.
Like, what? You didn't have your coffee before you got here? Like, I mean, I
Yeah,
understand
and
the
I'm
intern to
just
say that. Like, I know they have to be ready and willing to do whatever. And I'm totally down for the cause, like doing whatever. But some things, not to say it's like beneath them, but it's just like, make it make sense.
make it make sense.
Make it make
Exactly. And
sense.
I'm just using the coffee example as just like a typical like
That is a typical
intern, thing.
it's the intern stigma. The coffee thing is an intern
Yes.
stigma. Like they're supposed to come
Yes.
through the door with it, and it's just like I just don't think
Mm-hmm.
that that's applicable.
Yeah.
So you
Exactly. Like I oh
go
sorry,
ahead.
go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, interns should always be learning because we need them as much as they need. Like we need the help, the extra
Mm-hmm.
set of hands, like because we can't be two places at once, and they need to be learning because it's like, we got to pass on the information to the
Yeah.
next. I feel weird saying the next
But
generation
it is.
because
But
I'm
also,
in
we
my
need the fresh
20s,
ideas.
but
But they are the next. We need the fresh ideas. The interns have the fresh
yes,
ideas. They're a lot more in touch, in my opinion, to the social media stuff, and they are a lot more technology friendly, and they know everything. So it's like we need them just as much as they need us. So I just,
exactly.
I really hope that a lot of companies and a lot of businesses see the value in having interns and as a benefit and not just an extra body to do work that you don't want to do. That's my hope.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you have any networking tips for like upcoming stylists and like how to maintain like those relationships?
Yes, I do. So relationships are everything in this industry. If couldn't tell from this conversation, it's all
Mm-hmm.
about, it's a people industry. So my number one networking tip, I would say, is to focus on giving the other person value. So whether that's a client or whether
Mm-hmm.
that's another stylist, whether that's a designer. So don't approach people with this attitude of what can you do for me or you should do this for me. That's a mistake that I see a lot of people make. And I'm going to give an example of when I have interns or potential assistants reaching out to me to work for me. They'll say, oh, like you work with so and so, like I want to get my foot, like, and it's like, yes, I understand that you want to get experience, but I want to make sure that you understand that your role is supposed to be support.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you do get in my circle, that doesn't mean you're going to have access to my celebrity clients or be on set like on the first day. Like, no, like, so know that you have to approach them by providing some type of value. So let's say, that I have Fashion Mentor, that I have a YouTube channel. You could say, hey, like, I noticed that you did this and that you posted a new video. Like, if you need someone to help you, with that, like, just like find a way to make my life easier or any stylist's life easier. Like, it doesn't necessarily, maybe they don't have the capacity to hire a assistant at the moment, but if you can help them, they're going to think about you when they hear about different opportunities or if something comes up or if a stylist friend, they need a paid assistant or an intern or something. So just, you never know where opportunities are going to lead you just by helping someone out. So don't feel like, okay, like what can you do for me right now? Like change your mindset to how can I help this person, because they'll be more inclined to help you down the line when it's a give and take relationship and not just like give on one side.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, how have you had any? Just to like wrap up, this is like my last question. Have you had
Yeah.
any experiences with like mentors yourself, and how did that shape your mentorship style?
Yes, yes. So I was fortunate to have, after those nightmare internships I experienced, I was literally on the brink of giving up on fashion. I was just like, if this is what it is, then I don't want parts in it. So it was such like a dramatic moment. Like I remember that night so clearly. I was in this stylist house packing boxes, and this stylist who I had emailed months prior, she returned my email and she was like, "Hey, are you still looking for, like an assistant role or anything?" And so I was just like, "Oh my God, yes, like just get me out of here." So I started working for her. We quickly, like, we got on very well, and she became a mentor for me because she was the first stylist to actually take me under her wing, answer my questions without getting all weird about it, like how some people in the industry, like you ask them, "Oh, like where'd you, get those shoes?" And they'll act all defensive. Like she was never like that. And she was another Black woman too. So seeing her success, I was just like, that's possible for me too. And it's representation is so important. Like I
So
can't stress it
important.
enough. Yeah, seeing this Black woman being a stylist and working for these major TV networks, and like just, I don't know, like to me she was so glamorous, and like just the way she carried herself, like everything. She was a mentor in every sense of the word. So I just, she really opened the doors and showed that there are some nice people in the fashion industry, and she's who inspired me to pay it forward and, do the same to the next generation of stylists.
Oh, I love that. So, is there any, my last segment of the podcast is called It's a Muse. And It's a Muse is actually brought to you by a series of Black owned businesses as our sponsors. Make sure you guys check out Chase Jackson Accounting for all of your business needs, for business formations and accounting, as well as check out the Alumni Group. They host the dopest brunches in LA and in NYC for the Black professional crowd. They're founded by Frandy Napoleon. The Alumni Group brings together NYC's and LA's dopest people to network and twerk at the same damn time over beats and bottomless mimosas. All right, so just tell me about, just last thing, is there a quote, a affirmation, a mantra, a book, or anything that you work with or have used that you would like to pass on to the next fashion stylist and or entrepreneur?
Yes, my favorite quote of all time is "Feel the fear and do it anyway." I feel like, some people see some of the things that I've accomplished or people I've worked with, or, anything that it might be. They're like, "Oh my God, Brittany, like, how'd you do that? I'm scared to put myself out there." And it's like, I am too. Like,
Feel the
I
feel the fear and do it anyway.
do it anyway. You're
Anyway,
always going to have that feeling.
I
Yes. And
like
just like,
that.
think of how proud of yourself you'll be after you do that thing that's making you nervous.
I love that. My mother's is fear will fuck you up.
Well, that's another way to put it.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, mom. Yeah, potty mouth, heard you, got it. All right. Well, thank
Heard
you
you.
so much, Brittany, for joining me today. It was a pleasure talking to you. I would love to like connect next time I'm in LA, or if you want to do
Yes.
like a webinar where like fashion styling versus like fashion design, or if you want to like partner on something, I think there would be a great duo for us to kind of do together from both ends of it, and how fashion stylists and designers really need one another. We need you guys to pull from us
Yes.
and put us out there. We need you guys to take a look at our designs and see it from a different, like, subjective and creative view outside of what we see it as too. So I really, really want to push the narrative of us not being against each other and more of us partnering together, stylists and designers. Because it's just like designers get
I
offended when you
love
call them a
that.
stylist, and stylist is like, no, I'm not a designer. Where it's just like the work that we do, honestly, is hand in hand, and we need each other.
Absolutely, because we need those clothes, because we can't do the
Right.
job without
And
it.
we need you
So,
because we got to make sure we're designing the right clothes. It's just like, what are people wanting? Like, we got to see it from a different person's point of view, especially the person that is taking these items and putting it in places, putting it in, movies and on people and on red carpets.
yes.
So I really think they work hand in hand. And I just think, hand in hand, I just really think we need to work together and pair and do these partnerships with stylists and designers more often.
I agree.
Yeah,
And thank you so much, Lenice, for having me. I
of course.
thoroughly enjoyed this
Me
conversation, and your
too.
energy is everything.
Oh yeah, I'm a crazy girl.
I love it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Brittany. I will talk to you soon. Let's definitely keep in contact. We can shoot each other email, maybe put something into play, maybe for the end of the year or something. I would love to partner.
Yes. Yes, let's keep in touch.
Definitely. Thank you, Brittany. You
All right.
enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
You too. Talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good day.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Stay black, guys, and peace out.